He told me he was an angel. He gave me his name. I don't even want to say it. I'm going to tell you, but I don't usually tell people this. He told me his name was Gabriel. As soon as he said it, I heard his voice. I didn't even know what he was about to tell me, but hearing his voice, I started sobbing. I couldn't hold back my tears because I could feel his holiness. I could feel how sinful I was. I could feel like wherever he was coming from, it was like a really holy place. And he told me,
welcome to God's Voice Daily. I'm your host, Vladimir Proknevsky, and this is the channel where I share daily phone calls with people from around the world who've had real supernatural encounters with Jesus, angels, demons, and everything in between. Some of these calls go on to become full episodes on our main show called God's Voice Today, but here you will hear them raw and unfiltered, just the way they happened. So without any further ado, let's dive into today's featured call. Enjoy.
Shauna, I'd love to hear your testimony, your story.
okay. I'm going to try not to keep it too long. I know you got a lot of other things this morning. So I'll kind of hit the high points, there is probably more detail that can go into each one, but for time's sake, I'll just kind of run you through. Starting, I guess, when I was young. Okay, I did know Jesus when I was young, like a teenager. I went on missionary trips to Africa and all this, and really saw healings and stuff. So I was aware of him and the power of God from a young age. And then, came back and just started backsliding like crazy, and started getting into trouble. And I joined the military after 9/11, and at this point was really far from God. And went to Iraq, and over there it's just a whole mess, a whole spiritual mess. It's crazy over there. It's just the evil over there. You can just feel it. But anyways, so during my first deployment, I went on 2 deployments. For my first deployment, I had my squad leader got killed, and I was around that when it happened, and it was traumatizing for me, I guess you could say. And then almost immediately, whether it was either that night or the next day or within 2 days, I don't know how soon it was, but it was very quickly, I started hearing these voices in my head. And when I say voices, I mean louder than what you can hear my voice now, screaming loud voices, and they were evil voices, and they were just screaming all these obscenities at me, oh, you just want everybody to die, don't you? You just want them to die, you just want to get blown up. And it was just so overwhelming. And I still had 6 months left on my deployment. I mean, I got to where I couldn't even call home because I'd be talking to my grandma, and they'd be you just wanted to effing die, just horrible stuff. And I remember at the time I was really embarrassed about it. I didn't want to tell anybody because I'm around all these strong people, and I just tried to hide it, but I was on the inside. I can remember feeling it was the worst I'd ever felt in my life. Mentally, I'd never felt this way before. I felt so out of control. And I thought either two things, because I knew about the spiritual from my childhood. And so I was I'm possessed or something. I kind of went through my mind. I was I'm either possessed by a demon or I'm turning into a serial killer. And even though I was hearing these things in my head, it was not my desires. It didn't match up with what I wanted. But I was maybe it's my brain is shifting into something evil and being around all this horrible stuff over here. And it's only a matter of time before I turn into I'll kill everybody, that's kind of where I was at. But I was I just got 6 more months. I got to get through this. And so I did. I just kind of tried to put it in the back of my mind as much as I could, and just mission after mission. And then I left the country, and when I tell you, it was within a day of being back, it just, all those voices, it was somebody turned the volume down on the radio. And I was okay, well, that's that. I was stressed out or something. I started writing it off. And, but then other things started happening. I started being very OCD about things, very counting and things, and having to check my door 100 times. And it was really, exhausting, and it was time consuming. I was still in the Army at the time. I was being late for things, cause I would have to go, I gotta check my door. Did I turn off all my straighteners and all this stuff, so I had to go back and check everything. And that was what finally drove me to a psychologist or a psychiatric help, telling them about these things. And they're well, did anything happen in Iraq? And I was well, yeah, I witnessed something really horrible. And then I started hearing these voices really loud. And then as soon as I came back, the voices went away, and I started counting all these things. And they were oh, okay, we know what happened. Right away, he was you have OCD brought on by a traumatic event. So pretty much he's telling me I have PTSD. And it was it was brought on by this traumatic event. He said in Iraq, you had to maintain such physical control over your surroundings that your brain kind of took over. And that's why you heard all these things. And then when you came back, your brain knew it could relax. So now instead of hearing voices, you're physically acting out these compulsive actions, And I was like, okay. So then they put me on like antidepressants, and I mean, that was my next 15 years, I was just on Prozac and all these different antidepressants. And, I ended up going on like another deployment and got out of the military. And then, pretty much it was like, I say I went on the steady decline, right? Cause like the military, you have to be like taking drug tests and like, you had to have some sort of like, there's people around you keeping you in check, and, I didn't have that when I got out. So I just started partying a lot and, doing drugs, and I started working in a go-go bar. I couldn't find work forever. And so I was like about to lose my insurance, my car, and all this stuff. And I actually tried to re-enter into the military through the reserves because I was like, man, I'm doing bad. I was like, I need to go back in, and all this stuff. And there was a unit that I had found that was deploying to Iraq again as like a medical unit. And I tried to go back in the military and they booted me out of the reserves. I was in the reserves for like 2 months and they kicked me out saying I had PTSD and that I couldn't deploy anymore. I couldn't have a weapon anymore and all this stuff. So I'm like broke, and I started working in a go-go bar. Like I became a dancer and, I did that for like 5 years, but in the midst of that, I found heroin. And I got really bad on heroin, and I ended up getting pregnant by a married man, one night stand. Of course, I mean, I met him in the club, and I had an abortion, and that was like the worst thing, of course, I've ever done. And but in that lifestyle, it was actually, I'm not making excuses, but it was just the way I thought I needed to handle it. I was like, if I can just put this behind me. I was like, I can just move past it. Like like I did Iraq, like I did all this other stuff. It's going to be really hard, but I was one foot in front of the other. I'm going to get it done. And then I won't have to worry about it, and that just destroyed me. Like I got even like before that, I wasn't using needles. And then after that, I just lost all self-respect for myself. If I ever had any, I mean, and I didn't care, I was like, I'm just a scum of the earth anyways now. So I started shooting up. I mean, I'd shoot up any drug. I mean, any drug, crack, meth, heroin. Heroin was my love though. I mean, that's the only drug I really cared about. I mean, I sold all my stuff and, I ended up meeting a guy. I ended up going to a rehab, and while I was there, and this is like a crazy part, I walked in, like you don't have much time off, but when you do, they allow you to go to church, that's what you do. So I was like walked into a church one day and I'm just sitting there looking, I'd never been in there before. And the pastor of this church is a woman. She came up to me, like running at me. She's like, oh my gosh, God is talking to me right now. He's telling me. And she started prophesying over me. And I knew what was happening, but at the time I didn't really care that much. I was still very much like in the fog. I was going to rehab to try to change, but I didn't even, I wasn't, my eyes were not set on God in any way, especially after the abortion. I thought I was like so far from him, and she was like, God is telling me that you still have some things to go through. But when you make it through, your testimony will bring thousands of people to the kingdom. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, and then they proceeded to meet a guy in rehab, dropped out of rehab. Well, I made it through rehab and then they sent me to a PTSD program, dropped out of that because I was with this guy and ended up moving with him. And a little side note on that, he was Hep C positive and we were sharing needles and, sleeping together, and God protected me through that. I never contracted any Hep C or anything. And I've had my blood tested like 1,000 times since then. I've been in the hospital and all this stuff. So God like preserved me through that. So that's like a whole nother thing that he did for me. Like in the darkness, I didn't even know God was protecting me, but he did. Yeah, so during this time of living with him, my best friend, my sister from the military, she killed herself. So that just like threw me even deeper into, and I was really suicidal. And I thought, oh, I have to like go join her and all this stuff. And in the midst of it, I ended up getting a little dog, and that little chihuahua, I always say God sent in love for me because I didn't care about anything like that at that point. And that little dog, little chihuahua, after some months, she'd go everywhere with me to all the houses, all the drug dealers and all this stuff. And I just started really caring about her, like in a motherly way, kind of, I guess, because I don't know what it is to be a mother, but I love her in a way I've never loved anything, And I just, that love I had for her made me start going, what if I go to jail? What if I die? Like, my boyfriend was ODing all the time. He's passed away now. And I was like, what if I die? She's going to go to the pound, And I just remember looking at her going, one day, looking at her face and realizing, I've got to get out of here. This is not a good place. And so I told my boyfriend at the time, I was like, I want to go. I was like, and mind you, we've been on heroin for some years now. I mean, just every day. And I was like, I want to go, but I can't leave until we've both been off heroin for 3 months, because I was the only one who kept him. Like, his kidneys were already doing really bad. So I would have to bring him back all the time with Narcan and breathe for him, because he wouldn't be able to breathe. He OD'd so much that if I hadn't been there, he would have already been dead probably, unless, God brought in somebody else. I'm not putting it on me. God kept him alive, but I just didn't want the guilt of him dying on me. So I was like, we need to stay sober for 3 months, at least off heroin, And sure enough, within a month, we both did it. We both got on the shot, and with 3 months with drug dealers down the street, I had some supernatural strength inside of me, and so did he. And we both stayed off heroin for 3 months, which is somebody on heroin is like a miracle in itself. And I ended up leaving, got home to Arkansas, to where my family lives. I had been living in Kentucky, and wrecked my car right away. And now I look back and I'm like, thank you, Lord, because I would have come back a million times, if I had that car. Found out I didn't even have a driver's license. I've been driving around with a suspension and all this. And so for 2 years I walked, while I just wanted to go back to heroin, but I couldn't. And that little dog kept me here, because she kept me from getting on a bus and going back to Kentucky to find heroin, and living on the streets or something. That's how bad I wanted it. And during this time, I just got more and more depressed. And while I was walking once, because I walked a lot those 2 years, I was walking, and all of a sudden I heard in my mind a voice, like a bullet of some sick stuff. It was in Iraq. It was like a word came through, and I went, I recognized it right away, And I was like, no. And pretty soon, within a month, probably, it was the most horrendous inpouring of evil thoughts, images. I would see genitalia. I'd see people's throats being slit. I would hear sexual, horrific things towards people, like rape and all this stuff. And it was loud, and I couldn't even talk to people. And it was getting shot. It was like getting shot with a semi-automatic weapon or something, but mentally, no matter how much I tried to make it stop, I couldn't. And it was just so overwhelming. And I was like, oh, it's back. I thought that it had went away, and I was like, it got triggered again somehow. And here I am. And I was like, I just knew, I remember just pacing in my apartment for hours, just knowing I'm going to kill myself. And that little dog, I knew she depended on me, and I would be mad at her sometimes. I'd be mad that she was there, because if she hadn't been there, I would have been out in those woods doing something, like hanging myself or something. I just fantasized about it. I was suicidally obsessed, but I knew I was going to hell. I was like, after I had an abortion, I was like, God doesn't want me. And I was like, I'm going somewhere bad. I know that. But I need to read the Bible. I need to start reading the Bible. I was like, because wherever I'm going, the Bible, if I have read the Bible in this life, in the next life, I'll have memorized spiritually the scriptures, and I'll be able to use that as ammunition against all this hellacious stuff that's going to be coming at me. That's where my mind was at. It wasn't because I was like, oh, I want to get closer to God. I thought that was past for me. I thought abortion was a unforgivable sin, And so I started reading the Bible. Within 3 months, when I tell you, I started having almost like a poltergeist kind of thing in my apartment. Grabbing my feet on the bed, touching me, keeping me awake. It kept me awake for almost a week. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. Every time I started to fall asleep, they'd push me really hard and grab me and jostle me. It was physically hurting me. And I was so afraid, and I didn't know what to do. And blah, blah, blah. I ended up going to this. I was doing Reiki cord cutting, thinking that would help it. I had some evil attachment and all this stuff. And I ended up going to this lady, and she was like, it sounds like a demon. And I was like, what? This has been a week of it almost keeping me awake the whole time, And I was like, oh, okay. So on the way home, I started playing an exorcism prayer, in the name of Jesus and all this stuff. And that thing that had been messing with me for a week started talking to me how me and you are talking right now. It was really clear and loud. And he's like, hey, do you remember me? And I was like, And I was like thinking back to Iraq, and he was like, yeah, we met a long time ago in Iraq. Like he was telling me about when my squad leader got killed, like all those voices I started hearing and those thoughts that I was having, it was almost like the same thing. I think it came back to me, And I was like, what? And it ended up getting away from me. But for like the next 4 months, my apartment was like a horror house. It was like an open portal. I would hear things walking around, cupboards slamming. It felt like something I was on the bed. I'd be like sitting on it or on the chair, and something would like run across it, like a full grown man running across your bed while you're sitting in it. Like that's what it would feel like. My apartment would stink like smoke and feces, like all the time. And then they would dissipate really quickly. And I was like, and this whole time I'm like playing prayers on the speaker, and it would keep things at bay for a short time, but then eventually they'd come back, like within an hour or two, things would come back. I ended up like staying awake mostly through the night, sleeping during the day, because at night it was a lot worse, And and then at the end of this 4 months, I had something start attacking me that it felt like it was grabbing me. It felt like it was sucking something out of me. It was almost like somebody put a vacuum on me and was like a hose to my sternum. And it was so painful. And I don't know what it was doing. I felt like it was like eating my soul, eating something from me. And it was so painful. And I just knew like my upper body would be throbbing from it. And I was like, I just know this is going to get me, And the attacks started getting more frequent. Like I could drive it off, but within 10 minutes it'd be back, and it would follow me anywhere that I went, to my grandpa's house, to the store. Like if I was in my truck, it'd be with me, And I was like, oh man. And during this time I was in my room, and I had a voice start speaking to me, just like a loud, clear voice. And he told me he was an angel. He gave me his name. I don't even want to say it. I'm going to tell you, but I don't usually tell people this. But he told me his name was Gabriel. And that's what he said. He said, my name is Gabriel. And as soon as he said it, I heard his voice. I didn't even know what he was about to tell me, but hearing his voice, I started sobbing. I leapt to my feet and started sobbing. I couldn't hold back my tears because I could feel his holiness. I could feel how holy he was. And I don't know how to explain that. I could feel how sinful I was. I could feel like wherever he was coming from, like it was like a really holy place. And the whole time he's speaking to me, I'm sobbing, and he was like, he told me some things. He told me he told me that this thing that was coming after me, I had to go on a fast in order to break free from it. I think he said it was trying to kill me, but I don't want to like put words in his mouth, but pretty much it was going to be really bad if I didn't go on a fast. And he gave me a detailed fast. He told me that I needed to go 3 days with no food or water, and then 4 days with water only. He even said like, you need to start at exactly midnight and end it at exactly midnight, because it makes it more powerful. And he was like, this is bigger than this, just you. Like somehow this is affecting more. Like I needed to make it out of this, I think, to help others or something. And then he told me that that the heavenly hosts found me offensive. Now, at the time, I didn't even know heavenly hosts were angels. I thought it was just like everybody in heaven, but come to find out that heavenly hosts are angels, and that at the end times, they are going to find all the offensive things and cast them into the pit. And I didn't even know, I think he was telling me, you're on the wrong path, and you need to clean up, but I don't know. And then he told me that, that he had he told me another thing, and then he told me that he had one final gift for me, that he had love for me, and that he told me he'd never speak to me again for all of eternity. And then he was gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I settled down. And after that, I had demons. Like, I think I can hear in the spirit, sometimes, like ever since this happened to, like, I can hear, that I had demons come and try to, like, I'm Gabriel and all this stuff, but I knew that it was not the same, because he told me that was the last time he would speak to me. And the feeling was not the same. It was like comparing like a pit bull to a Chihuahua with reindeer horns on or something. It was so obvious to me, like the difference in the voices I was hearing, like for real, that's what it's like. And so within a few weeks, I did the fast. It was the hardest thing I was ever going to do, or not ever going to do, but I'd never even done a fast before. And I'm sitting here doing this hard, dry fast. And, I thought I was going to die during it. Like, I felt so sick and my head was pounding. But the only thing that kept me going when I was like, I know that he told me that if I don't do this, it's going to be really bad, and that other people are depending on me. So I just kept doing it. By the end of the week, all the activity that had been going on around me nonstop for months has ceased. I had somebody come up to me that I had known for like a long time ago, or a couple years before, that needed my help. So I was able to like go stay at her house and get out of like my creepy apartment there. I was all by myself. Like it was such like a God, like that week that my whole life shifted 180 degrees. Now that has been 2021. I think that happened. Now since then, I have done so many fasts since then, all different kinds of fasts. I have been set free from every addiction. I don't even drink coffee anymore. And not only have I been set free, I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke weed. I don't desire them. Like before, when I stay sober, it was a fight to stay sober, but now I don't want it anymore. Like I even do hospice care. I'm around morphine and all these like things all the time, and I don't want any of them. You know, I'm so like a different person on the inside. I've audibly heard chains break 3 times. Like the first 2 times I didn't even know what was happening, but I heard it like, you hear the links fall. And I was like, what is that? And then I was watching some YouTube video and that, oh, I hear chains breaking. And I was like, hey, I know that's happened to me, you know? And so I've really gotten to like deliverance, and I've studied a lot about deliverance and stuff like that. I feel like that's like what I'm called to really, but like long story short, I guess that's my testimony. I just went through all that stuff, and I guess like the fast changed my life, and I feel like the need to tell people about it. I feel like I'm meant to share it with other people, because when I was going through that, I was like so alone. I felt like nobody believed me. I didn't, you know, and I was like, if there would have been one person that would have had this kind of information, what I did, I think I had an angel tell me, you know, but now I just hope to be that for other people, that maybe they need that, like that crazy fast, that crazy thing to break them out of something that everybody thinks they're crazy. So I guess that's it. I didn't mean to talk too much.
No, this is powerful. In fact, I want you to talk more. I would love to invite you on the main show. And
yeah,
I'd love to dig into just the build up, like what your life was before. There's so many questions, but I'm curious. You know, it's interesting how you had this prophecy that you will be sharing this with thousands of people, and it will populate the kingdom. And so, let me be a part of that and help you share your testimony with thousands, if not millions. And wow, fast. Let's talk about the fast for a second. So you said 3-day dry fast, no water at all.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. And it's hard too. Like it's really hard. By the 3rd day, you're like, your kidneys are hurting, you know, and 3 days, no food or water. I started at midnight, and then at midnight on the 3rd day, I started drinking water, right? I mean, he was very specific about how precise the timing needed to be. And so I did alarms, and then 4 days, no water, or 4 days water only.
Wow. Okay. And then after that, the first 3 days, no water. And then the next 3 days, water only.
3 days, no food or water. And then 4 days, water only.
4 days, water
only.
So
7 days total.
Interesting. But it's interesting
and it was so powerful though.
Did you, what kind of things during the fast did you, man, that's crazy that you heard actual chains falling off of you.
Oh yeah. And that's been like not all at that same time. It was afterwards, maybe the next couple of years afterwards, like 3 different times I heard while I was fasting and praying or whatever, I would hear chains fall off, like for real.
You know how in the Bible talks about like certain spirits, you can't cast them out except for prayer and fasting. So I guess that's biblical, right? There are so strongholds over your life. And in order to really get rid of them, you got to pray and fast. What is it about prayer and fasting that completely just you create an environment where they just can't thrive?
I don't know, but I have very vivid dreams. Like ever since then, demonic dreams. I've seen angels, I think a couple times, but they look like people. But I mean, usually it's demon dreams every night. They're like after me now ever since that happened, you know? But like whenever I'm fasting, it's like in my dreams, I'm more like immune to them and what they're trying to do. Like, I don't know what it does. It kills your flesh. It kills your body somehow. And it brings your spirit up stronger. Even though you don't feel stronger, you feel like bad, you know, but it does something.
It's kind of like, to say that. You know, if you think about kingdom and everything is kind of reverse. Well, to be first, you got to be last. To get, you have to give. And to be strong, you almost have to go through this weakness. It's kind of like, well, Jesus is just anybody who, this whole like going to the desert and fasting for 40 days kind of thing, where it's almost like a boot camp, right?
Yeah.
Get you prepared for spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
But interesting what Michael said to you about Michael Angel, the angel told you that
Gabriel.
I'm sorry, that was Gabriel, right?
No, it's okay.
He said that he will never speak to you again for all eternity.
I know. It broke my heart when I heard it because I thought I was like, I made him mad, But now I think he was protecting me. He was protecting me. That's what I believe.
Wow. But and also you back to the fast. You said that the fast, other people depended on it. What
He
did
said,
they
this is
mean?
bigger. This is bigger than just you. That was one of the first things he told me. This is bigger than just you.
What do you make
So
of that?
I don't know. I think it's either at the time I thought, oh, I have to do this fast because right now there's people depending on me. But I almost think that thing was trying to kill me literally because why would I get a message from an angel unless it was really bad? I mean, come on, and it felt really bad. And I think that me making it out of that situation and somehow is what other people are depending, maybe on my testimony, maybe on something. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm taking it.
Wow, that's powerful. Amazing. Man, I'm still getting over this cough, so I'm coughing. Forgive me for that.
No.
But trauma, interesting how it opens doors, right? You went to Iraq, you've seen some things, and through trauma, a lot of conversations. I probably had, I don't know, like 700 phone calls since I started this 8-9 months ago.
Wow.
And a lot of the stories start with trauma early on in life, being molested or whatnot. But for you, so you started hearing those voices right after this big trauma. What do you make of that?
Well, I'll tell you exactly. Okay, so we were in Humvee. We were in a Humvee team. So he was in the first Humvee and I was in the 7th. We were in a convoy security team. He got hit by the IED. I heard over the radio, he's dead, like that. As soon as I heard he's dead, my heart dropped. I could feel this and then right then I screamed like it was something out of a movie. Like my head went, I was like, like this high-pitched scream that just went on and on and on. And I remember thinking, who did that? Like, it wasn't even like I meant to scream. I wasn't afraid. But when that demon came back to say, do you remember me? One of the things I thought was when I screamed, like, I think he waited for my heart to drop. He waited for that sadness, that something, that broken heart. And he hit me with everything he had.
Interesting.
That's what I believe. Because as soon as I screamed, I remember thinking, what? It felt like out of body. Like it wasn't me. And then after I screamed, I didn't even make any more noise. I was like, if anything, in shock. I was very quiet and just continuing on. I was still having to drive. I was still having to do the mission, I mean, I wasn't like a screamer like that, So it was very out of place for me. But it was right after that happened that I started hearing all that stuff. So I think that they used that trauma, that it's like a niche in it's like a crack in your armor. It's like a soft spot, and that's what they have to hit it. They have to hit that soft spot because that's their only way in, and then they can be in you and doing all kinds of stuff,
That's interesting you say that because I remember hearing a story. I think it was my father shared it. It's been so long ago, I can't remember the source of it, but I just remember the story where they were casting out this demon out of a person, and they were asking the demon, how did you get in this person? And the demon said that, I guess this person was walking through a village late at night. It was dark and a rooster was hiding, and the rooster just made a loud noise, spooked him. And through the fear, it got in. You know how God works through love, Satan works through fear. And so a lot of times when you have a PTSD, some kind of traumatic event happening, and through that trauma, through that you're being spooked, it's like the spirit and body, and so like gets just like little detachment, little gap, air gap or something, and they just squeeze in there. And so they
got to do it quick almost.
Yeah. And so that's why I don't watch scary movies. I don't know why people watch scary movies. It's like the way I look at scary movies is like, imagine you're watching a scary movie, all these demons just like waiting to like, okay, let's spook them, and then we'll get there through fear. And so that's interesting because a lot of the times it's through something very traumatic. Somebody got scared a lot, or like massive event happens and they get spooked, scared, and through that. Interesting. Well, and I'm thinking about your boyfriend that OD'd.
Yeah, man, and how God protected me from the Hep C. Like when I got with him, I didn't know he had it. He didn't tell me, right? And I'm doing whatever, sharing needles. I mean, for real. And I was with him for years, a few years.
Was he a believer?
He had been when he was younger. He even had a big crucifix tattooed on his ribs, but he died while he was still heavily in. So I mean, I pray for him, but. I don't know if he was willingly following the devil when he died, or if in the last moments he repented. I can't say. I wasn't there when he died. I had already left. You know, I
I'm
just
sure
know
he
that he
has a
OD'd.
traumatic life. I'm sure there's something happened in his life for him to go that route.
Well, he tried to kill himself and survived. Shot himself in the face with a shotgun, and he survived it. You know, so I mean, he had all kinds of demons. I mean, all kinds of baggage. You know.
Mm.
And he had been to Iraq too, so I mean, he was a Marine. So I mean, who knows? I mean, yeah.
And thank God for your dog, right? I always say that animals keep people alive, especially like older people. A lot of times that's probably the only thing that keeps them going. The pets that they have.
God sent her to help me. Like he sent her into the trenches, and she helped me so much.
And where is that dog
She
today?
saved me, you know. She's right here. Sleeping,
awesome.
Probably. She's still alive. She's 7 now.
And you said
it's
Chihuahua?
Been, 7 years ago.
Is it Chihuahua, right?
Chihuahua. Yeah.
I love Chihuahuas. Oh, that's cute. Awesome. Well, and it's interesting that the medical profession, the person that you went to talk to after your whole experience, how they were trying to rationalize everything.
Yes. I believe that a lot of like PTSD symptoms, and I can't say for all of it, I cannot say, but I mean, our world is spiritual. We think we're in the physical realm, but really we're the fake one, and the real realm is the spiritual one. I think that PTSD is demonic oppression. Like, I believe it.
Yeah, because it torments you, right? There's no peace. It's like the OCD, the checking the doors, the looking around, never having peace. That's not from the Lord. That's not, the fruits of the Spirit are not there. Well, wow. I mean, this is powerful. I'm excited. So after this phone call, I will go ahead and send you the link to register for the main interview. And man, I'm excited. Shauna, thank you so much for calling. This was awesome. This was powerful testimony. It's going to bless so many people. Appreciate you sharing.
I'm so grateful that you gave me a chance to speak with you. I really am.
Oh, likewise. Thank you. Talk soon, Shauna. God bless.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If this call caught your attention, wait until you see what's coming up next. It should be on the screen right now. Go ahead and click on that video, and I'll see you there.